Hi, my name is Faith Haley and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Global Gardens. And we are so thankful that you have decided to partner with Global Gardens and to volunteer with us this summer. You coming out and helping water makes a tremendous impact on our gardens and is so helpful to our students and to our teachers. So thank you. So Global Gardens was founded by a Tulsa native named Heather Oakley, and Heather has her degree in education but wanted to further her education by getting her master's in peace education and also science, urban science. And she did that at Columbia University. And it was while she was at Columbia University that she was doing her student teaching in the Harlem schools and also the United Nations. And as you can imagine, there was a huge difference in the classroom and classroom engagement, and she really began to see the inequity in the educational system while she was there. So while she was working with her Harlem students that were dealing with big things like poverty, she began to birth this idea of Global Gardens. And it was while she was there working with those students that Global Gardens started to become Global Gardens. The concept began to be formed. She recently told us that while she was there working with her students, that they found this little grassy patch on the sidewalk in Harlem, and that was where it all started. She watched her students just began to just beam with excitement as they had ownership and input in this small little garden. She brought back her idea and her concept of Global Gardens to Eugene Field Elementary, and she started off as a volunteer. It was while she was there that she allowed the students to speak into her vision, and the program is what it is today because of her vision and her passion for equity in the educational system, but also that she allowed students in the program in that school to speak into her vision. Today we are at 5 sites in the Tulsa Public Schools and the Union Public Schools, and we have our during school programming that focuses on science education, and we have our after school programming that focuses on peace education and empowerment. So what students are learning in the gardens during school through science, they're also carrying that over into after school, and we continue to build upon that, and we teach them healthy conflict resolution strategies, and we empower them to take leadership opportunities and to share their ideas and to express their creativity. The last piece of our programming is called Family Food Farm, and that's where families in the community come together and they garden together and they cook together, and it is just a beautiful community. It's a very diverse community, and we focus a lot on nutrition education during that time. So again, we just want to thank you so much for coming out and for watering. You allow our teachers to focus on our students even more and to empower them, and we just couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Colby Craige. I'm the garden educator here at Global Gardens Asbury Corner, and this is my associate and son, Wendell. We'll be giving you a quick tour of our garden today. This is the garden house. It's typically locked up whenever we're not having programming. In the front of the house, there's only one garden bed that you might want to check and water, which is this this small herb bed. We do have our aquaponic system here. You can check it out if you want, but you don't really need to mess with it. Inside the garden, there's 3 main areas that you'll need to check whenever you come to water. It'll include our herb gardens, our production beds, and our student gardens. And I'll show you a little bit more of how to do that. When you water the herb gardens, you'll pull your water hose from right here. And I will show you a little bit in more detail later, but you can pull this hose all the way out and you can water most all of the herb gardens and the production beds with it. If you need your clipboard and laminated instructions will be in the tool shed over here. So you'll walk up here and the code is 5090. So 5090. You'll get a green light. This will open. You should have on your clipboard your sign-in sheet and any instructions, including my phone number if you are to have any questions. Our chickens are always cute. You can say hello to them if you want, but we have families that take care of them every day. Our herb garden consists of 5 different beds. They're all a little bit different, but we primarily just grow herbs and flowers in this area. If you have compost from home that you want to bring, you have a couple different places that you can add it. You can take this top off, put compost in here, or you can put it in the middle bin of this 3-bin system. On this side of the bridge, there's 2 main areas that you will need to water, but they're watered a slightly different. Our production gardens, they are watered by our drip irrigation system. I'll go into a little bit more detail, but the watering access point is this faucet. You'll hook it up, and I'll show you more of that later. Over here is we have kind of a little flower garden. We'll be growing sunflowers and annual pollinator flowers. You can water this either with your water hose that you pulled out to water your herb gardens, or you can use this water hose. The greenhouse, you won't really need to water anything in there. We won't really be doing a lot of growing throughout the summer until we do seed starting for fall crops. The last area that you'll need to check is our student gardens. There's 40 individual garden beds, but you don't need to water all of them. You only need to water the gardens that are actively being grown in. If they look like this, it means that there's a student that is part of our summer program that's still going to be growing throughout the summer, and they would sure appreciate your help. Gardens like this have been shut down for the season. They have cardboard and mulch laid on top of them so no weeds can grow. You do not need to water those. Everything on that end of the garden, including our perennial beds and our community garden, you're welcome to visit, but you do not need to water. If it rains the day before or even 24 hours before, you'll need to come over and check the rain gauge. It's right here. If we've received more than a ½ inch of rain, you do not need to water. I wanted to talk a little bit about the main thing you need to know when it's your turn to water. Being aware of the weather, how hot it's going to be today, how much rain we've received in the past 24 hours is really, really important. And you need to learn how to, before you start watering, you need to walk around all of the different gardens and actually just take your finger and stick it in the soil. And that will give you a good indication of how dry or how wet the soil is. And that should really be the guide of how much water you're going to give each garden bed. So if I were to walk into this area, before I start watering, I'm gonna check them all because they're all a little bit different. So I will go to the Lego Man, take my finger, and it's still pretty wet in here. Even the top layer is still wet from the rains we received yesterday. Now this garden bed might not dry out quite as fast as one of our stilted beds. So I'm gonna walk over here. Because it's up off the ground, there's not as much soil, it might dry out a little bit more. But I still need to take my finger and stick it in there and see. It's still very wet because of the rain we received yesterday, and so I wouldn't water any of this today. But if it were gonna be 100 degrees and we hadn't had any rain in a while, it's probably a safe bet that all of these garden beds are gonna need some water. Because I respect your time, I'm gonna show you the most efficient way for you to water this garden. The very first thing when you come through the gate is you're gonna turn this water hose on. You're gonna grab it right here and you're gonna walk it all the way out. Unwind any hose reel. You just need to pull it in a straight line and it will unwind. Now that I'm over here, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my drip irrigation system. And I do that We're walking over here, flipping this on, and you're gonna run this. If it hasn't rained in a while and it's quite dry, you're just gonna run this for maybe 10 minutes. I'm gonna turn it on. Before I walk away, all I wanna do is just make sure that I don't have any leaks, where I don't wanna make sure any of these lines have popped off. You'll never need to repair these. I can do those, but sometimes they pop off. And if they do, like this, all you need to do is turn this valve off. Like that. If you're feeling ambitious and you want to try to repair it, it's very easy. You just screw that back, take this piece, and then tighten it back over like that. And then you can turn it back on. Voila. All right, while this is running, I'm gonna take this water hose and I'm gonna water our herb garden. With fairly mature plants, it's not a big deal to get the plants a little bit wet. If you are watering in the middle of the day, which is not ideal, typically early in the morning or later in the evening is the better time to water. But if you are watering this garden bed, you're going to typically want to put it on some sort of a shower setting, so it's a little more gentle. I might water for a few minutes, a few seconds. But before I walk away, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to stick it in the soil. I'm not looking to just make the soil look wet. I actually want the water to penetrate into the soil, and that takes time. So sometimes a less amount over a longer period of time gives our plants deeper watering. With this water hose, I can bring it over here. I can water all of these gardens while I'm watering over here. When I get finished, the easiest way to roll this and any other hose that is on a hose reel up is I want to just get all of my hose into a straight line. So I kind of walk it out just like I pulled it out, and then I can reel it up, and I'll show you how you do that. Some of our nozzles, you don't want to drag these across the ground. So once we get our hose kind of brought out here, I'm going to walk my hose all the way back to the reel before I reel it in. It's a pretty good arm workout. I like to leave the hose charged while I'm reeling it in. It keeps it from binding up inside of here. So once it's reeled up, I'm going to turn it off, take the pressure off of it, and I'm done. I did forget to mention, when this hose is brought all the way out, you can water the flower area where the sunflowers and the annual pollinator garden is going to be. Once you're finished, I've got this shut off. Now I can go over to the student gardens.
Go.
Hello again. This hose reel is 100 feet. You do not need to pull this whole thing out to water the student gardens. Pull this out, kind of in a straight line. All these nozzles are a little bit different. All I'm after is there's a couple different settings that'll work. The shower setting is this one. It tends to be the best. Sometimes it gets clogged up. You can use whichever one you want. This is the on-off. And now I'm set up to where I can start watering these gardens. I'm always gonna take your finger, if you just check one garden bed, it should be a pretty good representation of how much water is in all of them. You can check a couple if you want to be extra safe. I can back this off, and I'm just giving it some water at the base of the plant. That's a better way to water than trying to water the leaves. Same thing over here. You don't have to do it that way, but if a garden bed just has a few things, it's a more efficient use of your water. So once you're finished watering all of the student gardens, we're just going to take our hose We don't want to drag it across the ground. These cost anywhere from $5 to $15, so we want to take good care of them. Hang it up right here. Once I'm finished, I'm going to turn this off. Don't forget your child. Please, please, please do not forget to turn off my drip irrigation. If it happens, it's not a huge deal. It just tends to flood that area and makes it to where I can't get in the garden for a couple of days until it dries out. So whenever you shut it off, it's very simple. You don't need to unhook anything. You just take it and you're finished. Thank you for your help this summer. It's a real benefit to this garden to have an organization like yours helping to offset the watering and all of the time that it takes to make these gardens look awesome. So I really, really appreciate your time and your energy.